Sound is a language. It's a universal language, and it doesn't really change whether it's in Chinese, French, or Russian, or British. It's the same. So it connects us all and it touches all. I do believe that sort of ceremonying and coming together as a group or tribe, you might say, does magnify the experience and makes it more, I guess, beneficial in many ways, because we're very disconnected in this world, and so I think it's very important to experience these immersions as a group. So I'm going to be facilitating a 25-minute meditation through sound. So it's what people call a sound bath or gong bath, and basically it's going a little bit beyond mindfulness or meditation. It's actually having a visceral, tangible experience of meditation rather than being in our head and using the usual sort of techniques to meditate. This is like a real experience, basically, through sound.
Why sound is important for human beings? Well, we're surrounded by sound all the time. Like, sound is in essence vibrating air, and it's one of the senses we have as human beings to make sense of the world, to navigate this world. And one of the things that happened in evolution is that we managed to give meaning to structured sound in time. We call it language, we call it music, we call it all sorts of different things. But we are embedded in this sea of sound all the time, and we have this capacity to be influenced by it, experience intense emotions with it, and give meaning to it, and sometimes very complex meaning and personal meaning as well. So there's of course this discussion about sound and music and how they're different. I work with sound and with music, and I'm specifically interested in how sound and music can alter consciousness, and how in that alteration of consciousness the individual, the listener, can see him or herself from a perspective to such a degree that his or her life is changed in a positive way. So we are really interested, in essence, in finding new ways to facilitate positive change in well-being and mental health through the use of sound and music.
Since time began and human beings were present, they've been obsessed with sounds. It tells us so much about the world, about the spaces that we inhabit. Unlike sight, which you can filter, sound can't be, and that's important. We in the West are very ocular-centric, but the people I work with in the Congo are very sonic-centric, because in the forest where the dense undergrowth blocks your view, it's your ears that tell you what's around you. And so when people tell stories, for instance, they'll stop the description of events and just imitate the sounds of events as they recount the story. So sound is something that people are always interested in, and the day we stop being interested in it, I think we will have lost something very profound about being human.
Sound is important for humanity because we navigate the world through sound, just as much as we navigate the world with vision and smell and touch and the other senses. The role of sound in my practice is it's a material for me to work with, to manipulate and compose with. So I work with electrical signal, which is both heard and seen simultaneously. So for me it's a material, but it also has psychophysical presence that I like to explore the properties of sound.
I mean, sound is the vibration between people. It's something that you can't block out. Sound in my work is something that's integral. It's the starting point. It's always about listening to people. When I'm initiating a site-specific project, I always start by listening to people, doing interviews, doing field recordings. That's where it all begins. You've got to find out what's going on in a place and what people's concerns are before you try to nurture a new artwork. The projects that I do are site-specific, and to me it's extremely important that an artwork is not parachuted in to an exotic location. I make works that are outside of the gallery context in non-traditional art spaces. The last thing you'd want to do is use that as an exotic frame for an artwork. The artwork has to evolve out of the setting. It's got to be made as a co-creation with people who are living and working in that setting. So sound to me is my starting point. It's listening to people and the kind of people, the ways that people are living and working in that setting.
I often think, would I rather be blind or deaf? And I mean, obviously that's a horrible question, and I'm very happy that I can see reasonably well, and I look at pictures all the time, but in the end, sound is an incredibly important faculty. You know, we have the 5 senses, and sound is very important for locating ourselves. And then, of course, I love music. A great symphony by Beethoven, or listening to the Diabelli Variations, or as I did to Fidelio by Beethoven. It's his 250th anniversary this year, 250th, quarter of a millennium since he was born, this great kind of monument of Western culture. And I do somehow believe in Western culture, but because, you know, I'm a product of it. I'm a fortunate one because I've had an amazing life.